A report on the topic is offered for your attention: development of the mathematical decision-making super tools for effective response to emergencies during the transportation of dangerous substance by road transport. Hazardous materials are widely used in manufacturing, agriculture, medicine, and other industrial fields. Approximately 4 billion tons of harmful substances are transported around the world annually. However, during the transportation of dangerous goods under various circumstances, traffic accident, natural disaster, act of terrorist emergencies may arise related to the depressurization of containers, 10 containers, cylinders, and the ingress of dangerous chemical into the environment and the creation of significant risk for the population of the surrounding areas and the environment. According to statistics, more than 30 accidents related to the transportation of dangerous substances by road transport occurs in China every year. There are also no accidents in the world as a result of which people died. In Sinaloa, Mexico, there was an accident with truck transportation ammonia, as a result of which 39 people died. A truck carrying chloride collided with another vehicle in an urban area of Nanjing, China, killing 29 people and evacuating more than 10,000 people. This slide presents several accidents, including those in Ukraine, which are related to the transportation of dangerous substances by road transport. Effective tools must be used to support decision making to prevent and quickly eliminate the consequence of such emergencies. We conducted a review of the existing mathematical and methodological support, which is used to assess the situation in the event of accident associated with the spill emissions of dangerous chemicals from the technology containers on road transport, and identified the shortcomings. This slide shows the main disadvantages of such a provision, therefore an urgent and important scientific problems in the development of new mathematical and software tools that will be better than existing analogies in all main indicators. The research aims to develop mathematical tools for assessing the consequence of accidents while transporting dangerous substances by road transport. This slide shows the classification on dangerous substance depending on the degree of impact on the environment or people according to the law of Ukraine on transportation of dangerous goods. On the right side, there are specialized vehicles for the transportation of dangerous goods. Potential chemical risk in the vicinity of an incident of mobile chemical hazardous object and the settlement zone near such an object is determined by the Formula 1. Also, in this slide, show the conditional probability of damage in the case of being in the zone of chemical injury is mainly determined by the location of damage, considering the height of the cloud rise. This state is formed due to the spread of the affected cloud to the residential part of the settlement in the braking areas and in the area of the emergency stop of transport from chemically hazardous substance. On slide 6 and 7, show table 1, average daily distribution of the urban population by place or residence, and table 2, average daily distribution of the rural population by place of residence. For definition, the probability of a person living in the one's habitat. The area of the threshold chemical damage in the braking zone and the size of the emergency stop is determined by the depth of the threshold damage in the areas. The area of chemical damage in the braking zone can be calculated by the following formula, taking into account the rise of the affected cloud. Formula 3, an area of chemical damage in the ice braking zone. It is defined as Formula 4. The areas of chemical damage in the emergency stop zone can be calculated by the formula taking into account the growth of the affected cloud. Formula 5. In this slide, show angular diminishing of zones of actual chemical damage for Formula 5. The following 4 slides shows the stages of development of the corresponding mathematical apparatus. The formula determines the length of the spill section before the damage vehicle stop. From the determination of the spill area plays a crucial role in the decontamination, disinfection, infection of the territory. In the case of an accident with the CHC spill, the spill area of chemically hazardous substance CHC can be defined by the formula 8, taking into account the experimentally determined the high of spilled as SHC, the type on the underlying surface of the XA type can be defined taking into account S using the formula 9. Formula 10, the formula determines the evaporation times reconcation of SHC, and formula 11, the amount of liquid SHC in the breaking zone is determined by the formula taking into account the fraction of infiltration during the shedding to stop the damage transport. The amount of spilled SHC is defined by the formula 13, taking into account the preparation of infiltration after stopping the damage transport. The initial high of the liquid column in the tank from the moment of stopping the transport is defined by the formula 14. Cross-section area formula 15. At short-term spill, it can be defined as formula 16, and long-term spill can be defined as formula 17. The formula 18 defines the time of entry spill through a small hole, the amount of spilled SHC in the emergency stop area with the complete ending destruction of the capacity, taking into account the fraction of infiltration is defined as formula 19. In this slide, show depths of chemical contamination. Formula 20, the height of the lifting cloud for the limited degree of damage taken into account sheltering of the population in buildings is determined by the formula 24 and 25 for lesser cases. Calculations were made and compared with full-time measurements to evaluate to accuracy of the proposed mathematical means, with the result of the techniques used on the example of accident occurring in October 2020 at the Birmingham Centre, England. The result of calculation of the SHC spilled are on the underlying surface and depths of chemical damage are present in table 4. The table shows the mathematical models of pollution of the Earth's surface and air as a result of the accident during SHC transport by road allow us to determine the necessary parameters of the damage zone with high accuracy. Existing methods of effects evaluating chemical accident cannot be used to solve the test due to the significant disadvantages. Not considering nature of the underlying surface, SHC absorption, parameters of spilling area of different SHC, use of mathematical apparatus obtained only empirically, use stationary chemical hazardous objects that do not allow calculate the risk of such emergency even for the population health. New mathematical means of accident assessment were developed to transport hazardous substance in road transport. They, unlike existing ones, take into account the parameters of the car, speed of the driver's reaction, parameters of the depressurization of the tank, nature of the underlying surface, and parameters of construction in the area place of stay. The high accuracy of the proposed mathematical means is confirmed by comparing with data from field measurements and a result of calculation by other techniques. Thank you for your attention.